Yo, what is up guys? This is Pedro here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the possibility of Deshaun Watson being traded, and if the Washington football team is a realistic landing spot, we're going to talk about what it would take to trade for Deshaun Watson, and if this whole thing is realistic. I'm also at the end of the video going to be talking about some off-season quarterbacks we could target and talk about Brandon Sheriff being named to the first team All-Pro list. So if you guys are new, subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. And yes, it is very unrealistic that the Washington football team is able to trade for Deshaun Watson, or even the Texans trading Deshaun Watson this year, but it is a situation to monitor, and a lot of you guys were asking me in the comments and on Twitter, so I ended up making the video, and at the end, like I said, we'll talk about some off-season quarterback targets that we could have. So, if you guys didn't know, Deshaun Watson is extremely unhappy with the Texans organization. I'll give you guys a brief overview. So, the Texans actually told Deshaun Watson that he would be in on the GM and head coaching hire. He would be giving recommendations, and, Deshaun Watson advocated for Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Patrick Mahomes put in a strong word for Eric Bieniemy with Watson, and the Texans didn't even put you in with Bieniemy. And the reason why Deshaun Watson is so mad is that they told him that he would be involved in the process. And the thing that's weird is that the Texans are the only team that has not interviewed Eric Bieniemy for their head coaching job, or at least put in a request to interview. So that is really fishy right there, and you can understand why Deshaun Watson would be upset, because they told him that he would be in the process and they just totally ignored him and hired someone that he didn't really want, and they haven't hired a head coach yet, but still he's upset. And there's growing buzz in league circles that Deshaun Watson could ask to be traded, and his new contract doesn't make that as difficult as you think. And here's my take on it. I think that Deshaun Watson is going to remain on the Texans for this coming year. I think he's going to give the head coach and the GM a year, but if they have another year where they're 5-6 wins, which is definitely possible, they don't really have much draft capital or cap space, he might demand a trade, and it's going to cost a lot. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Deshaun Watson has had an outstanding year for the Texans this year. He played in 16 games. Had a 70% completion percentage, which is insane. 4,823 yards, which led the NFL. He had 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, just had an outstanding year this year. One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and you might say, Washington doesn't have any weapons, or they don't have a good O-line, or they don't have really, it's not a great situation for Deshaun Watson. Well, I would say you're wrong, just because Deshaun Watson in Houston right now, he doesn't have a great situation either. His offensive line is not great. His offensive weapons also are not great. I mean, they don't have really a good run game. They have some, wide receivers, but Will Fuller only played for about half the year, or a little over half the year. Brandon Cooks has been decent, but besides that, doesn't really have much on offense. And we have some playmakers, especially Terry and Gibson, who are going to continue to get better. And our offensive line has been a lot better than a lot of people think. Deshaun Watson, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and is super, super young. And he has one more year on the rookie contract, and then after that, he is on his extension. So if a team were to trade for him, they would have him locked up for a while. And, that's the intrigue in trading for him, because he's a top 5 quarterback, or around that range. You can debate it, but he's super young, gonna get better. And also, you're gonna have him under contract for a while. He's also a decent, rushing threat, 444 yards this year and 3 touchdowns added on to what he already was able to produce. And Deshaun Watson on this team, think about it. This team won 7 games this year with probably, if you combine all the quarterback play, the worst starting quarterback play in the NFL, really, out of any team. There might be one or two other teams, but we're right up there. And you add even a competent, even a slightly below average starting quarterback, and this team wins 8+ games next year, depending on, the schedule. But you add in an average quarterback, that goes to like 8, 9 wins, and you add in Deshaun Watson, I don't even know what it would be, but it would be over 10 wins. Again, like I said, unrealistic because they're going to at least give him 1 year. And this is what someone said: Texans aren't going to trade Deshaun Watson, at least not for now. But he asked for a hypothetical offer. He was talking to some GMs, and they said 3 firsts, 3 seconds, and a player might start the conversation. And a lot of people might say, wow, that is way too much. But if you really think about it, Jalen Ramsey and Jamal Adams both got traded in the last couple years for 2 first-round picks, and those are corners. So you have to think Deshaun Watson, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, still super young, and has a long contract extension. He's going to be a lot more than that. So for us, it would cost, 3-ish first-round picks. It depends how many first-round picks, because it depends how good of a team you are. Because obviously, if the Jets were to offer that number 2 pick, it would be a lot more valuable than us, offering the 19th pick. But it would take around 3 first-round picks, a couple other, early draft picks, and a player. So we would have to give up probably someone on our D-line. Jonathan Allen, probably not, but maybe Matt Ioannidis. So, Deshaun Watson would be a huge addition to the team, obviously, but it's not super realistic, especially not right now. Things could definitely change in a year or so. So depends on what we do this offseason, at that quarterback position. If we go for a short-term 1-year solution, or, a kind of average veteran, or if we go at that young option. Because if we go for like a 1 to 2 year option that we can get out of, maybe at that point Deshaun Watson could be available. But at this moment, I just don't see it happening. But again, it is nice to dream sometimes, because it would be really nice to see him in a Washington uniform. And real quick, we're not going to spend too much time on it, but Tan Todd podcast on Washington, they have a great podcast on Twitter. They said, here are some of the quarterbacks that we could target that are possible targets, this offseason. He said Stafford, Carr, Wentz. I doubt it, just because it's in the division. He put Watson in there. He put Prescott, Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones. And obviously, you see the percentages there. That's what he's, putting as the likelihood. So obviously, we're not going to get Lawrence, probably not going to get Watson. But there are some veteran options out there that could, be solid. Someone like Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, stuff like that. We'll see. It's going to be a very, very interesting offseason. Even Jacoby Brissett, I would not want him necessarily, but another option that it's looking more and more likely that it could happen is us drafting a quarterback in the 1st, 2nd, maybe even 3rd round, and keeping Kyle Allen and letting Kyle Allen start maybe next year. Who knows? That's what a lot of people are saying. We'll see what happens right there. And then also at the end of the video right now, Brandon Sheriff did get announced to the first team All-Pro selection. That's the first time for a Washington football team player to be announced as a first team All-Pro since punter Matt Turk in 1996. And I believe the first time that a positional player besides, punt returner, kicker, and punter since 1992. So that is very good. Brandon Sheriff is going to get paid this offseason. Hopefully it's by us. I want him back in DC, because our offensive line, if we get Sheriff back, is going to be an above average group at least next year, with this unit getting more chemistry, because that's part of the reason they struggled early on. Obviously, Wes Martin and Jerron Christian didn't help, but their chemistry wasn't great, and they've been playing solid lately, except for the Eagles game. But yeah, let me know. I know this was a weird video with the Deshaun Watson talk, but let me know what you guys think about that. Also, I will be live streaming today, around 6:20, 6:30 with Wong Gotti, so make sure you guys come through. We will be previewing the Washington football team versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.